Shu, and I appreciate the invite, and thanks for coming and spending your time to see me here. I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes, was that? 20 minutes or half an hour covering quite a lot, but I'll make it as useful and as specific as possible. I'd like to encourage interaction as well, so I'll give you plenty of opportunity to do that so you get the most out of it. And obviously there'll be a longer question and answer section at the end too. Okay, good. So, this is what we're going to cover. A little bit about myself first of all, then we're going to be looking at Google My Business, and then we're going to be looking at your website and SEO and what it actually means and the importance of it and the kind of key things to make sure you're on top of for yourself and your business. And pillar 3, Google Ads or paid advertising. Okay. Everyone know about Google Ads or paid advertising, Facebook ads even, so it's quite well known. So I'm going to cover some key tenets for Google Ads, and then I'm going to talk about integrating your online strategy, because it's not just about looking at one thing in isolation. You know, all these things are related, and you need to make sure that you know how to use them and where they fit into your strategy overall. Right, really important. Q&A at the end. So a little bit about me. As Luca said, I was the first, arguably the first, to get certified by Google when they first came out with Google AdWords in the UK, way back in 2004. And I don't look old enough. 2004 was when I started doing this. So literally every day since October anniversary, 2 weeks time, every day since then I've been running Google Ads for clients. So a long time. So the Google Partner status, as it's now called, consists of a number of things from mobile, search, display ads, shopping, Google Analytics. So all of those kind of comprise the actual certification or the partnership. I've spoken at events. Google have actually hired me to come in and train other agencies how to use Google Ads and how to get certified in them as well. So that's me at a head office in London. They flew me to Dublin as well. So I'm an international speaker, right? So that was really cool. I also was the Google guy for the Internet Business School. This is where I met Luca. So it's kind of a room full of business owners and various other coaches and stuff like that. So I think I was talking about keyword research there. And just so you get a better feel for me, this is my other business suit. I do a little bit of karate. I've been doing karate for about 30 plus years, and that's me missing a jumping, spinning back kick, which looked fantastic, but I missed, if you can see. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a national tournament and so on. So I spent a year on the British squad, and I've got my 3rd dan and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a love. I'm also a failed Gladiators contender. Tried out for that. I was fit enough, but you know they just wanted someone that's better on TV, so I lost out on that. I've even been spotted doing yoga. That's me. This one there. And I was about to fall over. And I've recently started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I've now got a white belt and regularly throttled and strangled, but it's all part of the process, right? You've got to learn. You've got to start somewhere with everything. Okay, so one of the first in the UK, also Google approved agency trainer. So in order to do the that boot camp in head office for Google, they put me through a screen test, if you like. So I had to be interviewed on camera, and they asked me various questions and so on, and then I was selected. And they stopped after getting 6 people through that process. So one of about 6 people in the UK as well to be an approved Google agency trainer. Also got an MBA in e-commerce, and I've also worked with all manner of sectors, B2B, B2C, and so on. I was also featured in a case study by Google. So that's me there. And examples of clients, all sorts of clients. Let's do that. See if it can just come up randomly and magically. All right, so some of those you'll recognise, some of you won't. Dwell, obviously, a high street brand. There's a few in the financial sector there. We've got, that was Nelson Mandela's charity, skiing holidays, estate agency. You get the picture, charities, so really quite wide and diverse that I've worked for, Internet Business School. X Factor, I did some work with someone who got to the judges stages, the last 6 people in the US on that. So that's another conversation. Ask me about that over a drink. I'll tell you all about that. It's quite an interesting story. Okay. And also recently I was asked or invited to speak for the Chartered Institute of Insurers, and that was counted as continued professional development for them. So that was quite cool, and that was really well received. So that's something else I've done. So pillar 1, Google My Business. Who's familiar with Google My Business in the room? Okay. It used to be called Google Local or Google Places. No? Okay, well you will be familiar with it because it's where the map appears when you go to Google. You type in whatever search term you want. You see a map sometimes if it's a localized search, and you'll have little flags or little dots kind of telling you where the business is located. So that's Google My Business. That's what it looks like. So I recently did some work with a bridging company in Mayfair. So we were just having a look at doing an audit and where they're appearing, how visible they are online compared to the competitors and so on. So we put in a search term, a localized search term, and these are the kind of results we were getting. And it's important to note that over 50% of searches actually have a geographical qualifier. So people will search for a product or service and they'll also put the area as well. So if you serve people geographically, really, really important to make sure you optimize for that location as well, or the locations. Yeah. Okay. So Google My Business, the way this was actually formulated was Google grabs information on businesses and puts that into an online directory. So that can be unbeknownst to you as a business owner. So if you've got a business and you haven't had a look to see whether you've got an entry like this, then definitely check, because then you'll need to claim it, and then you can add a lot more content to it and make it a lot more useful for yourself and your customers. So again, that's what it looks like. It'll sit on the right hand side of the results page, and you'll get things like the basic address and telephone number as standard, and you can also add a lot more in terms of description of your products and services that you offer, opening hours and that sort of thing. And you also get to see the reviews. Everyone's seen reviews, right, on businesses when you go to Google. So that's becoming more and more important. If you have reviews for your business, people are going to be looking at them. So you need to make sure that you've got lots of good reviews, and make sure that they're at least 4-star. If you've got 1,000 5-star reviews, it might look a little bit suspicious, but at least 4-star. Because when you get over a certain amount, the reviews will also appear in what's called the organic listings underneath. And it gives a lot more visibility and credibility to you if you're appearing in the results with all those stars alongside you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. So, obviously, being social, it's another tool, if you like, to communicate with your target audience, communicate with your customers, and engage with people that leave reviews. So, if the review's good, if the review's bad, you should always try to respond to it. You know, If it's bad, don't get into an argument. There's been a lot of scenarios where people have really destroyed their brand by getting into a public slanging match, and you don't want to do that, but you just want to kind of appear responsive and sympathetic and so on, right? Google Plus isn't so widely used now. I think that's kind of died a bit of a death, hasn't it? People aren't really paying a lot of attention to that, but that was kind of seen as Google's kind of play into the social arena. And once you do have access to your Google My Business page, you'll be able to see a lot of insights, like how many people have visited your site, how many people have clicked on certain parts of your Google My Business page, and how many people have asked directions. So that's really, really important as well, if you've got a physical location as well. And again, delving a little bit deeper, peeling it back a little bit more, you get access to what's called the business editor. And again, you can see you put in your hours of business, your description. You can choose up to 3 categories as well. So make sure you do that, and you populate it as much as you can. Because when you get the results on the right hand side, you'll only appear in the top 3. So Google will select the top 3. So you want to make sure that you're as useful and relevant to that search as possible. Okay. So key takeaways. It's a no-brainer. It's free. Investigate, find out whether there's a page set up for you. It'll be a very basic skeletal page. And if it's there, then you click, you'll see an option to click and claim it as the owner. So make sure you do that. And then Google will be really high tech, and they'll send you a postcard with a code. And then you put that code in once you get it, and you can start to use it and claim it as your own. So. Secondly, obviously your business information can appear, as we've seen, on the right hand side, which is called the knowledge panel. It also appears within the maps section as well. So it's a real no-brainer. As you saw with the Google Local or Google My Business entries, they appear above the organic and often above the paid. So if it's a geographically orientated business, it's a no-brainer. Just make sure you claim it when you do it. Okay. Just do it. I left out the F. A bit too controversial. So does that make sense? Who's got a local or geographically orientated business or venture? Cool. Are you on Google My Business or Google Places? Don't know? Okay.
Yeah, I should be. Yeah, I've got to check it. I was on it before, and I know this changed.
Okay, cool. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, so just do that. Who else? There was a couple other people. Yeah, have you got it nailed? Cool.
It took me ages to get postcard.
That postcard.
I made that work in the end.
Actually, I claimed my one, but we've just closed down the physical space, and so now we're going to be an online business. So I'm just wondering.
Are you going to have any form of address? Will you have a registered address, company address? You're still kind of working that out. You can have a registered address that doesn't accept customers, so you can still do that.
Because we're going to do it by equipment only.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, interesting. Yes?
How do you make sure it gets picked up?
How do you make sure it gets picked up by Google? Well, you can find out whether they've already picked it up. If there is no sign of a Google My Business entry, then what you can do is go to google.com/business, and you'll get steps for actually how to do that as well. So if you're recently incorporated, for example, then you might not actually have one. So, but you can speak to me about that as well. Yeah.
If your business registered address is not the address or not the area where the locality, will it only pick up where your business is registered to?
It will pick up.
Address?
Yeah, they'll pick up the registered address usually by default, but then you can change that.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, you can change it, and they'll send out the postcard to you, and to receive it and put the code in. Yeah, cool. Okay, so is that useful? Yep. Okay, it's just the simplest thing to do. So just get it out of the way. You can see and respond to reviews and make sure you do. Can I just quickly ask, who uses reviews as a factor in determining whether they're going to buy or engage with? Yeah. So even more so, social proof, really, really important, right? Okay, so for yourself, additional things to consider. What information are you going to put on the page? How do you want to come across? What's your message? And how do you want to communicate how you solve the problems or how you serve your target audience? And those are the main things. So a lot of focus on Google. Why is this about Google? Because it's still the big, what do they call it? The big £100 gorilla in the market, right? 93% market penetration in the UK, and you know, they're tightening their stranglehold really. So best to know how to use it and how to get it to work for you. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be a hassle, but I just want to get an idea of what each of you do very, very quickly. Is that going to work, or we're not going to have time? We're going to have time. All right, we'll leave it, but pipe up if you know you've got specific questions for you. We'll do it that way. Cool. And I'll pick it up a bit. All right. So there are over 100 search engines in the world, but Google is the big one to kind of make sure you're playing by the rules with. A lot of complex algorithms that go into the whole way Google operates, both in terms of the organic or the natural side of things, and also the paid. You familiar with what I mean by the organic side of things, or natural? Yeah, cool. No? Okay. So on the results page, you'll see, I think we've got a couple of slides coming up, but you'll see, were you going to say something? No. Just flicking your hair. All right. When you go to Google, you put in a search term, you'll get a list of results, and sometimes you'll see a map on the right-hand side. Often you'll see ads, so little entries which say ad alongside them. They're the paid results, and underneath those are the organic or natural results. Okay, cool. So because of all these algorithms driving Google, a lot of people doing search engine optimization think they can game it, you know, use tricky techniques to get your website to the top of the results page. And some of those techniques are a little bit dodgy, and they basically fall into two camps. White hat is above board, following Google's best practice. Black hat is not, okay? That will eventually get you banned. Yeah, so that's like keyword stuffing, white keywords on white background and so on, just to try and fake, you know, your relevance. There is also a line down the middle called grey hat. Okay, so grey hat techniques are techniques that could ultimately become widely accepted and fall into the white hat category, or they could go to the dark side and then get you banned. So best to be aware of those. Okay, so if that's what I'm talking about, people say, if that's what people are talking about, they say white hat. Okay, pillar 2, your website and SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. A couple of really important statistics I want to kind of share with you on this point. 96 or 97% of people that visit your website will leave without doing the action that you want them to take. So it's a huge percentage, right? 100 people visit your site, 97 will just leave. And not only that, if you've got a shopping cart or something equivalent on your site, 70% will get that far and then they'll leave. It's pretty crazy figures, right? So it's like going to Tesco's or Waitrose. You get your shopping basket and then you just walk out. It's crazy.
And there's only 4 shopping baskets, so that must mean there's only 1 left.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So that's why it's important to look at this thing holistically. You know, you can drive traffic to a website all day long, but you know these kind of statistics, you've got to work out how best you can get the most out of it. Okay, so that's why we use things like remarketing and retargeting to follow people around the web and produce or present more ads to them. You've all experienced that, right? Yeah. Okay. Is it annoying or is it okay?
Yeah, annoyingly okay.
Depends. Annoyingly okay. Yeah. So if it's done really well, it's incredible. If someone visits your site at any point in time, that means they had an interest in what you had to offer, right? So if they then leave, they still had an interest, so they're actually a warm prospect or a warm target, okay? So if you then hit them with the right offer, then they're going to be a lot more receptive than someone that, you know, you've never heard of, never been in touch with. Yeah, so perfect example is this shirt, Charles Twitt. I love these shirts. You know, I'm always kind of shopping, having a look, see if they've got any offers going on. You know, then I decided to get back to work, what I should have been doing in the first place. And a bit later on, I was online again, and I got offers come to me saying, oh, if you buy today, you're going to get 30% off. You know, and this is something I was looking at already, right? So it's going to make a difference. The same things happen with buying wine online and stuff like that as well. So it's, yeah, that's a bit dangerous, right? But it happens, right? So don't know how we're doing for time. This is a quick example. Debbie's dog grooming. So she's got an online and an offline presence. Online, people can reserve, make bookings. She's also got a blog. So she uses the blog to interact with her audience and so on, and engage with them. And she also sells merchandise. So there's quite a few different things she does on this website. So the question is, what's most important to Debbie, and how does she improve her marketing? So if we break down those three key things, three key areas: reservation form, there'll be a form online. Secondly, actually selling merchandise. And then thirdly, telephone call. So all of those are what's called conversions. We'd identify that Debbie's conversions, and most important conversions, are those three things. And those are the things we want to kind of drill down with and optimize for. So that's them over there, okay? On the way to those conversions, through that whole customer journey, there's going to be what's called micro conversions along the way. So that can be anything like signing up for a newsletter. It's not an actual conversion yet, but it's represents a level of engagement. PDF download, for example, or if they've looked at certain pages on your website. I've got clients where they know that if someone looks at 3 specific pages, then there's a 90% chance they're going to become a buyer ultimately. So all of this kind of delving in deeper to it to really analyze what's happening with your online behavioral psychology for your target audience is really, really important. How do we measure this? Conversion tracking, really important to make sure that you've got analytics on your website so you can see what's happening. And then secondly, that you've got conversions tracked. Who's got a website in the room? Keep your hand up if you've got analytics. Keep your hand, someone dived down. Keep your hand up if you've got conversions tracked. Okay. So you need to have a think about that. What do you want people to do? What action do you want them to take when they hit your site? Do you want them to pick up the phone? Do you want them to buy something? Do you want them to fill out a form? You know, make it work for you. In olden days, it used to be called brochureware. So literally what you'd have in a brochure, people would just stick that on the site and it's just nice to look at. But these days you want to have a website that actually encourages and takes people through the buying journey to take the action that you want them to take. Got people yawning, I'll speed this up. All right.
So excited I woke up at 4 a.m. about coming here tonight.
Okay. So Google Analytics, really easy. If you've not got it set up or you're not sure, check. Really easy. It's just a snippet of code, put it on your website, and it'll track your visitors, how long they've stayed on the site, which sites they've visited, what the bounce rate is, all kinds of things. Really, really useful information. So That will tell you how well your website's performing for you. Super, super important. Okay, so search engine optimization. This is results page. These happen to be all ads, so you can tell because it's got a little ad there. I've gone to Google, I've typed in bridging loan London in this case, and these are the kind of results I'm getting, and these ads represent ads that have been created as part of a Google Ads campaign, which we're going to come on to shortly. What do we think of these ads? Any good for this search term?
I think the firm you're working with has come to the top.
Aha. Well,
Is that
they're not there, and that's why they brought me in, because I went in to do a presentation for the directors, and they're quite excited. So I'll be working with them
that's
soon.
not them.
No, but they will be there soon if they make the right choices. Cool. Okay, so you can see we've got the ratings and reviews appearing there. So this one kind of stands out quite a lot, doesn't it, because of that. So anything you can do, any little thing you can do to really bump up your presence and your online real estate, you've got to do it. Okay. Worth mentioning, your site's got to be mobile responsive. You know, people switching between devices all day long, you know, desktops, mobiles, tablets, and then different mobiles and so on. So really important to make sure that's covered. I'm assuming that your website's mobile responsive. If it's not or you don't know, check and make sure it is, because it needs to kind of work for people on mobiles. So even though we're talking about Google a lot, search engines are everywhere, okay? So YouTube's the world's second biggest search engine, right? Amazon, obviously, they've got really cool technology. iTunes, yeah, Pinterest. If you've got a podcast, you want to make sure you're optimized for that as well. Really important. And obviously TripAdvisor, and that's basically driven by reviews, really. So just kind of bear that in mind and just have that awareness. So therefore, important to you as an advertiser, marketer, business owner, entrepreneur. Traffic's important. How many people are actually visiting your site? Secondly, search engine positions. So for your keywords and your products and services, when people are looking for them, where do you appear? How visible are you? If you're not visible, people can't even get through that first stage in the buying cycle, yeah? They've got to be aware of you before they can engage with you. They can research you, compare you, and then make decisions to take it further. And then obviously leads and conversions, that's the bottom line, right? So all of these are kind of the key things that should be really important to you. Pillar 3, Google Ads or paid advertising. So again, looking at these results, you've got the headline in the ad, and then you've got the URL. And if they're smart, then they will have a sub URL for that specific search term. So these ones have got that. And without going into a lot of detail, ads should be as impactful as possible. So the headline should really get the attention. And the aim of the headline is to get people to read the next line. And the aim of the following lines is to demonstrate benefits, and then obviously include some sort of call to action that you want them to take. Cool. So that's the anatomy of a Google Ads account. So these are the ads. And this is the structure that goes behind it. So at the top level you have the account. Underneath the account you'll have campaigns. Under each campaign you'll have what are called ad groups. And each ad group will have a set of keywords, and it'll have a number of ads as well. Recommend at least 2 ads so that you can split test them and continue to improve the performance as you go along. Who's got a Google Ads account or has used Google Ads in the past? Yep. Cool. And how's your experience been? Painful? Yeah. Okay. Others, how has it been? Been good?
You know, I don't really want to get into understanding it, or so far haven't. I'm not saying I shouldn't or should.
Mm.
I'll just get someone else to deal with it.
Mm.
It's just one more thing to do.
Yeah, sure. As business owners, you kind of want to focus on the business, right?
Yeah.
So it's important really just to kind of be aware of the high level figures, you know, how much is it costing you, cost per click, what's the return on investment, you know, that sort of thing at a high level. Then you can dig a bit deeper after that. Okay, cool. Well, my first experience of Google Ads way back was, gonna have an accident up here. My experience of Google Ads was that it was so easy to get started with a campaign. All excited, you rush in, you throw all these keywords into a campaign, and you're just going away. You get it up and running, you put your credit card details in, and you're all excited. And every 5 minutes, you're checking, you're seeing where you're appearing, and it's the quickest way to burn through money that you would realise. So I've got some war stories to tell you about that as well. Let's take an example. Electrostore.com is a fictional company. They sell electrical products, and one campaign will be selling televisions, for example, another one will be cameras, and it shows you how you kind of structure the campaign as well. So under cameras, you might have compact or SLR cameras. Don't know what others you can have now. TVs, 3D, the HD TVs, 4D now. So that give you an idea of how you'd actually structure a Google AdWords campaign behind the scenes. So if you can kind of relate that to your businesses, for those of you who do have accounts, that's a good thing to do. And I've got 2 or 3 ads in each of those as well. Okay, keyword research. This is the biggest area. It's what drives all of your traffic on Google Ads, and is a foundation for your SEO. So really important to be aware of how to do that effectively, because that's the biggest area where people lose money. Every week I'm looking at accounts where people are leaving money on the table, or they're spending that they shouldn't be spending, because Google make it just too easy to get up and running with it. They don't tell you a lot, don't educate you about the different match types and how that means you're going to capture irrelevant searches versus the most specific searches for your business and so on. Anyway, so keyword research, you've got to think like a consumer, think like your target audience, what their points of pain are, what the benefits are, what solutions do you solve, think like them. Group similar keywords within the ad groups, because that will keep your cost per click down when you're using it. So Google AdWords is extremely powerful. It's made Google over £100 billion company, but very complicated and very easy to waste and spend a lot of money irrelevantly. Okay. Pick an appropriate number of keywords. What does that mean? Well, it just means that you start small. Always start conservatively, see what's working, tweak it consistently, and improve it as you go along. Google have a keyword tool which tells you a lot of information and statistics about how it's performed in the past for specific keywords that are important to you. So make sure you use that as a first and obvious tool to use before you get into paid tools to give you a lot more. And use what's called different match types. Again, we could spend a day on this, but it's important to be aware that there are different syntaxes for the same keyword, which will mean that you'll be spending different amounts for that same keyword. So really important to make sure you're aware of that. Effectively use what's called negative keywords. Anyone got any idea what a negative keyword might be? No.
Keywords that you don't want to appear.
Exactly, keywords that you don't want your ads to appear for. And that will help you avoid spending a lot of irrelevant money. And Google don't tell you that sort of thing when they're helping you set up your campaign or allowing you to set up your campaign. A few other quick ones. Think about the benefits that you offer. Of course, use your products and services as keywords, but remember that there'll be a whole section of your target audience that don't use those products and services as search terms. They'll use the problem that they've got as a search term, so be aware of that as well. Focus on solutions, include unique selling points. Why should someone come to you as opposed to your competitors? Obviously use industry terms familiar to your audience so that you're going to resonate with them and show to them that you understand their pain and you can kind of communicate them on their level. Use competitor terms. That's quite controversial. You can use your competitors' keywords in your keyword list, but you can't use your competitor terms in the ad text as well. So just be aware of that. Use abbreviations and descriptors for your target market. Again, just demonstrating that you've got resonance and you can understand and empathize. Okay. So, ongoing optimization and future-proofing your campaigns. Now, it's a dynamic environment, so things are going to change all the time. So it's important that you are able to kind of adapt with that, know what things to look out for, so that you can make those changes and make those changes in a timely way, okay? So you've got to recognize it's a continuous process and keep up with the trends in your sector. You've got a lot of free tools. Google Trends is quite a good general tool to be aware of and I use it all the time, as well as the keyword tool. So these are kind of things that are free that you can just get familiar with and start getting friendly with. Keep up with the competitive landscape. You know what your competition doing, because you're not trying to beat Google, you're trying to beat your competitors, and that's a subtle switch that it's good to be aware of as well. And reverse engineer success. So what's working well, and what search terms are people actually putting in versus what you thought they were putting in, and that's often very, very different, right? Again, without spending a lot of time on this, it's just demonstrating that online behaviour has changed a hell of a lot over time. People are talking more about intent, what's called intent-based search engine optimization. And that's just really recognizing that there are different motivations for different people typing in the same thing when it comes to going to Google for a search. So if you understand the psychology behind why they've typed in what they've typed in, then that allows you to come up with additional keywords and target them at different stages of the buying cycle psychologically as well. Okay. And obviously that will tie into, where they're looking for things, what kind of online assets you are going to present to them as solutions or information. Obviously what channel, there's a lot of different channels now that we can reach our target audience, and making sure you're optimized for each of those channels. And then obviously, once you have connected with them, how are you going to take them to the next level in the buying process? How are you going to get them through the awareness, interest, making decisions, and then obviously engaging with you or buying from you? Okay, so bringing it all together. Something called the content life cycle. So again, important to be aware. You'll hear people talking about the funnel a lot, yeah? Anyone hear people talk about funnels?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So all that is essentially is bringing people in at a higher level of your marketing funnel. So that's the awareness. So it's making sure people are aware of you, your existence, your products and services. Okay, once they're aware of you, then they can engage with you. Research varies between 7 and 11 touch points you need to make before someone will engage with you or buy from you. So you need to give as many opportunities as possible and appear as visible as possible as often as you can for your target audience. So all this is saying, that's the top of the funnel stuff, middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. So let's expand on that. So top of the funnel stuff, awareness, having a blog, having a podcast, for example, just creating content, infographics, all of that is just helping to create as much awareness as possible, yeah? Middle of the funnel stuff, giving people useful resources, giving them something to download, just giving them an opportunity to interact with you, engage with you. So they've gone past that awareness, they're now looking at engaging with you, finding out a little bit more about you and so on. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. Yep, cool. Also webinars. So people are using webinars a lot more, including myself starting to do that. It's a great way of once people know about you, giving them an opportunity to get to know you a bit better. And then bottom of the funnel stuff is really where they're converting. They're buying, you know, they're purchasing mini classes or actual courses, and you know, they've bought into you, they understand you, they resonate with you, you resonate with them. And then after they've bought from you once, then they become advocates and they'll either recommend other people or they'll go and buy from you again and again. Yeah, does that help to kind of give a bit of a snapshot into the different activities at different levels? Yeah, cool. And your customers will go through that process. Yeah, they might go straight to this one, but they'll go through that process. Cool. So, a few steps, summarize. Ensure you get a website audit and clear goals for your website. Get an SEO audit, a speed check. Google really, really hot on this now. Your website needs to be quick to give the best or optimal user experience, okay? And make sure you're following best practice and white hat stuff. Pay-per-click, build that in as part of your strategy because it's the quickest way to get targeted traffic to your site. But it's got to be used with care because again, you can spend a lot of money unnecessarily. Google My Business, claim your place. Simple as that. Just do it. Yeah? Cool. Social media also needs to be integrated into your online strategy to help awareness, help encourage engagement, more than actually converting into the absolute sale, but more and more across the board companies using that now, so make sure you do too. Content marketing, again, content marketing overlaps social media and SEO, and it's really just about getting yourself out there more, leaving breadcrumbs, if you like, around the web so people come to you rather than you have to go out and chase individual clients, because that's very tiring as well. And, if you can, have people come to you. Does that make sense too? Cool. Useful? Are you going to do it?
Yes.
Cool. All right. This is the old version. So, thank you. Appreciate your time. You've been captivated.
Can we all bring our hands
Cool.
together to
Yeah,
say
cool.
thank you to Jeff?
Cool.